Move right along here, and from the Department of Administration, he is the director, Mr. Edward Birn. Hear ye, hear ye.
Hello,
Ed,
Mr. Birn.
Good morning.
You going to toast everybody?
I got my coffee.
Cheers.
Yeah, ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Oh, thanks.
What is it? Is this?
I don't know anything. Yeah, that's. I think that's for weddings, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, cheers, Mr. Birn. Thanks for joining us. I guess this first of all, the first thing we wanted was last time we had spoke. This was back when our show was called "Containing COVID," which was a while ago. But we had asked for an update on the programan Silapin Edzuda ni Bunelis Lemai. And there were, last we had talked, there was a bunch of apps that you guys were kind of going through. So if you could just, what's the latest with that program and the status of paying out those benefits to people, Mr. Birn?
Well, there's two parts to the program. There's the part that public health continues to process, and we received 2 batches from them. I think it was on Friday. And the total of those batches are about 882 applications. For the ones that are being processed here, which just to remind you, are the ones that are solely for the program, Salafi program. There's no other but public support like SNAP or anything else included. It's just for the cash payment. We're about and we had people working yesterday on it. We're 68% complete.
So how much is that? That's been paid out?
Well, it's about 1.3 million. The really interesting statistic that you probably need to know is of the ones that we've been processing here, 65% are unauthorized. Number of reasons for that. One is that their income, although they applied, their income was above the level that's specified in the executive order. But most of them are rejected because they've already received the payment as a dependent somewhere else. So we had people that were applying as a dependent and were applying on their own behalf, and the program only plays it out once.
Are you saying
we
fraud?
had to weed out those, and the result is that 65% of the applications are rejected.
Is that, you think that's fraud, Ed, or is it just oversight? Maybe someone didn't know that they were claimed as a dependent?
You know, I don't know. we unfortunately haven't had time to go and talk to each of these people. Some people really probably genuinely didn't know, because this is not an online form. These are all paper forms. So once it's gone into the box at public health, it's gone. So I'm just going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and say that it's just an error.
And is that what kind of takes up a bulk of the time, is just going through these apps and vetting that info like that?
Yes, it is. And again, when we last spoke, I think I mentioned that the supporting documents that we need in order to verify these applications very often were separated from the application. People sent in an application and didn't send in the documents. And then when the deadline was extended to June 30th, the documents, or some of them, came separately and now have to be matched with the appropriate application.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, could you just go back? So how much out of the 20 million has been paid for the Programan Sloppy Atsuda Nitata program?
About 16 million.
16, okay.
Are you guys also doing the Gita loan program?
We're processing the checks. The applications are entirely processed by Gita, and then they pass to us the information to cut the check.
So how much has been paid through the 20 million Gita program?
I have to guess that because it's not our program, and therefore I don't have my finger on it. But it seems to be around about 12 to 13 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like the assistance, I mean, for the most part, is getting out there, Ed?
Yes, actually, I was just looking at some information. We had to report to the US Treasury how much we'd spent of the original CARES Act money, which is, remember, about 118 million. And up to June 23rd, July 23rd, which was the date we were asked to report to, we'd spent 29 million out of the 118 million, which is 24.7%. And that compares very well with Puerto Rico, American Samoa, and the Virgin Islands.
What percent are they at?
We're all around about that same number in percentage.
So, I mean, obviously, Ed, I'm sure there have been criticisms about how long it's taken to get this CARES Act funding out. But on your end, you say that these numbers show that you guys are actually getting the money out in what you consider a timely manner.
Yes, I mean, as I say, we compare very well with everyone as a percentage of spend. And I know you were just speaking to the governor, and she is very concerned to get this money out into the economy. And with all the programs that we've been doing, the 5 programs that we've been processing here since the war claims, which was the first one, there's been a very great effort to get money out and into the economy and into the hands of people, that need the money. And of course, these numbers don't include the amount that came out through the unemployment assistance.
Right, Mr. Birn, you said 29 million has been spent out of the 118 million since July 23rd. Is that correct?
No, up to July 23rd.
Right, up to July 23rd, 29 million has been spent of the 118 million in CARES Act funding?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so what about the rest of the money? Why isn't the rest of the money being spent? I remember that BBMR put out this projected budget, and they were going to buy plasmas and LEDs and computers and all of this stuff.
Laptops.
So why hasn't that money been used? Because 29 million is the estimated payment for Programan Salapi and the GITA local programs. It's about 29 million.
Well, of that, we're talking of 70% and 60% being spent.
Right, but I'm just asking, out of the 118, you said 29 million has been spent to date.
Yes. Well, don't forget that the money has to last until the end of the year, end of the calendar year. So we got the money round about April 10th. The first tranche came on April 10th. So
But we got
3 months.
we got cars. I thought we got some police cars and some ambulances. I thought CARES Act money was used for that.
Yes, we did. We did. And so the money is being spent. So, and as I was trying to point out, and I think while looking at it, we're about the same level as the other territories. And I think everybody realizes that each of their jurisdictions needs to get the money out, and we're doing our bit to get the money out here. And yes, we bought the ambulance. I can't tell you that the ambulances were bought before July 23rd. I think they were, but if they weren't, it'll be reported in the next report.
I see. Okay, so then we actually had spent more out of this 118 million then. And also, the homeless shelter, we're going to be deducting money, deducting from this 118 million to fund the homeless shelter?
Yes, that's being paid for by CARES Act, principally. Yes.
Ed, if we don't spend the money by the end of the year, do we have to give it back, or what happens?
Yes. Of course, we're all hoping that Congress, when they meet this week, will extend that those funds and the deadline. They've recently changed the deadline, and now the money has to be, and it's not quite spent, it means it has to be incurred by 4 months after the fiscal year end, which in our case is January 31st.
Ed, we had a comment here about if you could, man, and I don't know if this is a conspiracy thing or what, but people talk about the CARES Act funds collecting interest while sitting in the bank while we wait to figure out how to spend it. How accurate is that, man? What type of interest is it? Like a lot, or because I just see it all the time. People just always put these comments about, oh, it's collecting interest. So I don't know. I mean, could you just go into that and?
Yes, and you're right. Because we got the money up front, which is highly unusual for a federal program,
Right.
and we know we weren't going to spend it all at one time, we put the money in an interest-bearing account at the bank. So we're earning interest on it. As you know, interest rates are very, very low. So the amount of interest that we're getting is almost minimal, but it's our duty to get as much money as we can, and we're allowed to do so under the CARES Act legislation, so long as we use that interest for the program.
So, like 118 million, how much? And I know minus whatever we've already spent, but are we talking? In a month, what, a few million? I have no idea. Ed, how much interest are?
Oh,
we
no.
Okay.
We're talking less than 10,000.
Because people think it's earning $5 billion a month in interest. Judging from the way these comments are, I don't know. And I mean, I wanted to ask you because I'm just tired of hearing about it and not knowing the answer. So there you go.
Well, thank you for asking about it, but it would be great if we could get so much interest. But mortgage rates and interest rates are very, very low, so we're not earning that much money.
All right. And of course, there's a comment. Of course, he's going to say that interest is low. I don't even know what to do anymore. Look, I asked the guy. That's the answer we got. Moving on. Ed, let me get in there real quick here. We're KUAM FM in Hagatna, Guam. Good morning to our viewers on KUAM TV8 on Monday. We're on the line with Administration Director Ed Birn. We're going to give the floor to for any closing statements, Ed, that you feel like people need to know out there.
Everyone, like the governor said, everyone's working very, very hard to get the money to the people that need it. There are a lot of programs, even beyond the CARES Act money, at public health, at DOL, and other agencies that have funds, and their monies are going out as well. The amount of money that we've kind of spent on all these programs since January the 1st is something like 411 million, which is like 2/3 of our annual budget, in addition to our annual budget. So we're doing our very best to make sure that those that need these funds get them, and that the economy, which is suffering, I mean, everybody acknowledges that the economy is suffering because of the obvious lack of tourism, and you can see businesses being shuttered. That doesn't do Guam any good, so we're doing our best, and everybody here in this agency and many other agencies are working as over weekends and nights to make sure this happens.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you, Mr. Birn.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks for the updates.
Thank you.
Wash
Have
your
a good
hands.
day.
All right. We'll see you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, 8:03. Good morning again. It is the link on the Breeze 93.9, proudly brought to you by Polka, distributed by Ambrose, Calvo Enterprises, and IT&E. We're going to sign off on KUAM on TV8. We'll leave you with our anthems and our sign-off. Again, Sabrina and Chris here on the link on the Breeze 93.9.
Go see ya.